This reversible sun visor can be worn with the ends loosely twisted so there's no pressure and it doesn't mess with your hair, or wear it with the ends turned into a little rosette. Hi everyone, Angela here. Print out this sun visor with wired headband at 100% letter size and check each page with the 1-inch square. You can find links for this pattern and the tools I use in the description below. Please note I do not sell plastic templates and only patterns purchased from my shop Notches Sewing are genuine. Carefully cut out each pattern piece and the small notches. For the wider brim, join pieces A and B together and cut the center notch. Join pieces C and D. This piece will be cut on the fold of the fabric with notches cut out in the center. Also join pieces E to F and G to H and cut out the center notches. I'm placing 2 pieces of cotton fabric together for the headband, one for the lining and one for the outer layer. Carefully match the folded edges together and place the pattern on it. Cut out both pieces together, cut the notch that's just on one edge, then cut the notches in the middle on both edges. With single layers of each fabric, decide if you like to cut out the wider brim or the smaller brim. The wider brim is about 1 inch deeper and 2 inches wider. For this video, I'll be using the smaller brim. Have the grain line parallel to the outer edges of the fabric and make sure not to cut any of the selvages. For cutting curves, you may find it a bit easier using a 28mm or 18mm rotary blade. Once done, cut the notch at the top. I'm using a 20 gauge hobby wire. It's soft enough that you can bend the ends without any tools. You can also use a slightly heavier wire like this one I found in the garden center. It's still soft enough to bend the ends. Using the longer side of the headband as the measurement, cut the wire the same length and bend in both ends about 1/2 inch. To stiffen the brim, use fusible buckram with the glue on one side. Cut out 2 brim pieces, and for each piece, place it down with glue side up, place the wrong side of the fabric piece on top, and press together. I'm using my Teflon pressing cloth on top so I don't get any glue on my iron. Put right sides together and clip all around the outer edge. I'm using the Juki TL-2010Q sewing machine. The link for this and the tools I use are down in the description below. If you're in Australia or New Zealand, click the link for Echidna Sewing and Juki Junkies for North America. To make it a little easier sewing around the curve, I'm using the SP18 1/4-inch presser foot. It has a hinged guide on the side for the edges of your fabric. Stitch all around the outer edge, backtacking at the start and finish. I just find it so easy going around curves with this foot. Now carefully trim away half of the seam allowance, leaving about 1/8 of an inch. Hold the layers apart and push out at the seam. Use something with a rounded edge like a hair marker to help push out the curve. Press so that the seam is right in the middle, and then clip the inner edges together. Trim away the seam allowance from each side, then sew a 1/4 inch top stitch around the outer edge. You don't need to backtack. If you're finding this video helpful, make sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on all notifications, and leave a comment below. When you get to the other end, have your needle down, lift your foot and pivot, then stitch the inner curves together 1/8 of an inch from the edge. To give the headband some body, I'm using sew-in fleece. You can also use batting. Cut out the piece for the headband and the 4 notches. Cut the channel piece and the 2 notches at the center. I'm just marking them so you can see. Fold the channel in half at the notches and then cut a very small hole in the middle. Center this channel onto the wider piece and pin together in the middle. Using the standard presser foot again, stitch down both sides of the channel 1/4 inch from the edge, backtacking at the start and finish. Then remove all the pins. Open up the headband pieces and press away the center crease. I'm just marking all the notches so you can see. Center the fleece onto the wrong side of the main fabric, matching all the notches, and clip in place. This step is optional, but you can edge stitch along each side to hold in place. Put the headband pieces right sides together, matching all the edges. Along the edge with the extra notches, pin or clip towards the middle about 1 inch away from them. Then clip all around. The stitching will start from this notch all around to this notch, leaving an opening between them. Stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, backtacking at the start and finish, and pivoting at all the corners. Separate the layers at the opening. Matching the center notches and with right sides together, place the underside of the brim together with the contrast fabric that doesn't have the fleece. Matching both edges, clip along this inner curve, making sure not to pleat the band. You'll notice that the edge of the brim doesn't match up with the notches at the side. If you were using the wider brim, it would be closer to that notch. Stitch the brim in place using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. There's no need to bacttack. Keep pulling on the headband, making sure that it doesn't pleat underneath. Next, we're going to stitch from the notch just past the edge of the brim about 1 inch. Bacttack at the start and finish, and this will sandwich the brim between the 2 layers. Repeat on the other side. Carefully trim all the corners on an angle, making sure not to cut any of the stitching. The 2 ends need to be turned right side out. I find the simplest method is with a tube turner. Or you can use any tube with a longer, skinnier stick. Insert the tube all the way into the end and then push with the blunt end of the stick. Use the pointy end of the stick or a knitting needle to carefully poke out the corners. Pull all the way out and repeat on the other side. Find the tiny hole in the center and fold the headband in half. Bring the ends of the wire together and then carefully thread it through that small hole so that one end of the wire goes through one side of the channel and the other end goes through the other side. Gently push it all through to both ends of the headband. And then flatten out the wire at the small opening. Pull the back fabric nice and taut away from the brim. Fold the edge of the main fabric 1/4 inch and then place the fold on that stitch line so it just covers it and pin in place. Continue folding and covering the stitch line right across. Starting from the side of the brim, edge stitch right across to the other side, backtacking at the start and finish. Make sure to check out some of my other tutorials. Thanks again for watching. Take care and happy sewing.